Hey, this is a little warning. Again, this is another episode where we talk about sexual assault and suicide. This actually is the episode that kind of started what we're going to call the Texas Gladiator rule, which is a rule that we have established in the show, which is basically if the show or the movie has just an overwhelming amount of disturbing content, we can pump the brakes and just not watch it this week because this movie kind of fits that category. But if you don't want to listen, I understand. The beginning of it is pretty interesting when we get into the background. The plot of the movie is not all that interesting. So, yeah, just a warning about what you're going to listen to before we get into it tonight. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Heidi ho, neighbors.
Nice.
uh, yeah, that was a better introduction. Welcome to. I'm trying not to curse like right away. YouTube tells me I need to wait like 15 seconds before I start cursing. So at
Oh,
that
really?
point, then it makes more sense to say stuff like fuck, shit, damn, motherfucker, things like that, right? We're more than 15 seconds in now.
Okay, there we
Well,
go.
let's let the kids leave the room. Tonight, welcome to the end of the world. We're Matt and Travis. If you're listening, you probably know who we are. If not, we got a bunch of episodes. Go listen to one of those. We
Yeah.
are almost to 20 episodes. And in fact,
Ooh.
we're going to hit that number very soon during the Christmas break. For those of you on the school calendar
Yeah.
that I dictate my life by, because, that's how what I do for a living. We're going to talk about a weird ass movie. And I'm going to call this episode foreshadowing because almost every single thing about this movie we will talk about at another point in future episodes.
Oh, yeah.
The actors, the writer, the directors, everything, they're going to show up again and again and again and again. So hopefully you don't hate them all because we're going to see
Yeah,
a
right.
lot of these fucking people. How's your week been before we start talking about these fucking people?
It's been good. I mean, we had, Thanksgiving, so we had my sister and all her family up here, and that was a lot of fun, a lot of stuff going on. I ate too much, and, you
As you
know,
do, as you do, as you do.
as I do.
Yeah, mine was a different thing. Like I said last time when you guys were listening, I was sick. Still kind of a little getting over it, feeling a lot better. But yeah, I spent all of Thanksgiving sick. Me and my wife were both sick. So
Mm.
we
Ah,
basically we made some potatoes, we made some Brussels sprouts, we made some bread, we made a little bit of roast. That's about it. We didn't really cook a
yeah.
whole lot. A lot of basic things. Ended up not making a lot of food that we thought we were going to make just because we were like I'm tired, I felt like doing anymore. Like this is plenty of food. This is good.
That's
Like this is good.
good enough.
That's basically what we did. Like we literally at one point looked at each other and we were like, this is fine. Like we don't need more. We were gonna make mac and cheese and squash and zucchini and do some other stuff, and we both were like, no, we're good. Like this is fine. This is enough food. We're tired, you're
Yeah.
tired. Let's go watch some fucking Christmas with the Cranks.
Oh,
Right.
very nice.
Which is basically what we did. We sat around watching Christmas movies, not feeling
All
very
right.
good. So yeah, that was
Oh, that
my
part.
Christmas. That was my Christmas. That was my Thanksgiving this year. But hey, it
Hey, there
turned
you
out
go.
okay.
Yeah.
My week's been pretty much the same. Working, doing all that
Yep.
shit. Had part of the week off since we last spoke. Being a
Yeah.
teacher, had a little bit of a break. Spent most of it sick, so didn't really do a whole hell of a lot. Still in moving, so the next
Oh, yeah.
episodes you will hear from us are all pre-recorded for a couple weeks.
Hmm.
We put them in the can. The next episode after this episode is going to be me and my wife talking about the movie Waterworld,
Ooh.
which is one of her favorites, and yeah,
Ooh,
decided to
there's a good
do.
reason for that. It's a
Yeah,
great movie.
yeah, we did riff track style, so it
Oh,
is the
yeah.
entire length of the movie Waterworld. So if you want to throw on your favorite copy of Waterworld and put on our audio, you can listen along, and as we experience the water with you and the Kevin Costner. He
Mm-hmm.
starts the movie pissing, just in case you forgot. That's
That's
how the movie starts. It's Kevin Costner taking a leak.
on the water, making water.
Sets the tone right away, right?
Right
Just
away.
set right away, right away. And then after that movie, the next episode that we recorded is you and I talking for our 20th for our 20th episode celebration. There's 20
Yeah.
episodes, god damn it. That's almost a
Damn.
whole day of listening to us. Um,
Wow.
for that, we recorded us talking about what makes a bad movie good, and then we talked about some bad movies and what makes them good, and why some people are wrong about some movies being so bad they're good.
Yeah.
Some people being bad writers, some people just being stupid.
Then at least one person being a very good writer.
Yes, one of them was much better.
Oh yeah.
There's highs and lows in
Give
that
credit.
episode. There are highs and lows. All right, so enough stalling. Let's talk about 2020 Texas Gladiators, which is a movie that has many, many titles. Would you like to know some of the titles this movie has?
Definitely.
So besides 2020 Texas Gladiators, it also has
Mhm.
gone by the name One Eye Force.
Um.
Let that sink in for a moment. One Eye Force. There you go. Visual, visual. Moving on. Texas versus 2000.
I don't even know what to do with that one.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know either. And then it's in Italy, its Italian title was Anno 2020 il Gladiatoria del Futuro. Is my attempt
Okay.
at some Italian for you. And
How's
it
that?
also went by the name of 2020 Freedom Fighters.
Okay.
So many different names. That's a theme that we will see throughout this because pretty much every person we're going to talk about went by many different aliases. Like all of the writers, the directors, all of these people have many, many, many names. Starting with the director, who in this movie, he is not going by his real name. So
No.
the credited director is there's two of them, and one of them is George Eastman, and the other is Joe D'Amato. That's not his real name. So Joe D'Amato is a director of a shit ton of movies. He
Yeah.
directed over 200 movies. His actual
Yeesh.
name is Aristade Matachesi, I believe is the how you say it. I
Oh.
could be wrong. Forgive my Italian. Yeah, he's a man of many, many films and many, many different film types. In addition to making post-apocalyptic movies, which he made several,
Hmm.
he also made some Commando ripoffs. He made some sci-fi ripoffs. He made some porn, a lot of softcore porn,
Oh.
lots of softcore porn. Yeah, some of the titles he directed were Endgame, Blade Master, Caligula, The Untold Story,
Oh.
Ator, The Fighting Eagle,
Hmm.
and
Wait, I know
Erotic.
that one.
I was gonna say, you know that one.
Yeah.
Erotic Nights, or sorry, Erotic Rights of the Living Dead.
That one. That's so. I don't even know what to do with that title.
And
Erotic rights.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Okay.
he also directed a lot of Emmanuel films. So if you were a
Um.
fan of late night HBO and Cinemax in the 1990s, you probably caught your fair share of Emmanuel.
Yep.
And he was responsible for a lot of those movies, which are basically just about a woman in a city, sometimes in Paris, sometimes elsewhere, discovering her sexuality by sleeping with just about everybody. And
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty much the premise of pretty much every single Emmanuel film.
Yep. That. Yeah. That basically does sum it up.
Yeah, yeah. So this guy has so many aliases. It would take me all day to talk about all of them and all the movies he directed. We could literally do a podcast just about him, the Joe
Ooh.
D'Amato cast, and you would have plenty of content because the dude
My
is
goodness.
pro fucking lific. Directed a ton of movies and has a ton of aliases. Here are just a few of them that I thought were funny. Michael
Mhm.
DiCaprio,
Oh, that's good.
Ralph Del Palma,
Oh.
Alexander Borsky,
Hmm.
Chang Lee's son for when he did
Oh,
his kung fu movies.
that
Um,
was a curveball.
Robert Yip. Robert Yip sounds like the lead singer of your favorite indie rock band who probably is going to
Ye-
sexually assault you at some point.
oh God. Yeah.
James Burke. James Burke is the
Oh.
bass player of that same band.
Yep.
Joan Russell.
Ah,
So yeah, it takes use of some female names at times.
yeah.
Also, besides Joan Russell, also went by Joan Russell. So
Ooh.
another one, Arizona Roberts.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's actually a really cool name.
That's a good name. Yeah, that's a good fucking name. Yeah, Dario Donati.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Lynn Clark.
Hmm.
hmm Steve Benson.
Oh, that's yeah.
George Hudson.
Okay.
Yep. Like I said, I could literally go on and
Yeah, they
on.
could just
There's
keep
a
going.
lot of them. Renee Rivette. Yeah. So directing alongside him is a man by the name of George Eastman. George Eastman is also one of the writers of this movie. He's also
Hmm.
an actor himself. So George
Oh,
Eastman also quite prolific. You might wonder what films George Eastman was in. Well,
I might.
he was in a lot of the movies that Joe D'Amato made.
Oh, there
So
you go.
just about every single movie I just mentioned, or sorry, didn't yeah, every movie I just mentioned, and every one of those aliases also made about 5 or 6 movies. Let's
Hmm.
say in about 75% of them, George Eastman is probably in them.
Oh, okay.
So this is to say, well, I said foreshadowing. We will see a lot of George Eastman as we talk about post-apocalyptic movies. Dude is in his fair share. Has in a bunch of them. We will see him a lot in the Wasteland. Too much so to the point that like it's not even worth time going over every movie George Eastman is in. Safe to say, you're gonna see a fucking lot of this guy. Um, Shows up a bunch. He directs most of this movie, but he did not feel comfortable directing the action scenes, which honestly, the action scenes are a lot of this movie. So Joe D'Amato directs all the action scenes, and George Eastman directed all of the talking scenes in
Oh,
this almost fucking silent movie.
yeah.
I was going to say, the first thing we're going to talk about when we get into this movie is how there's virtually no dialogue. There's very little talking,
Yeah.
and we'll talk about why that is too, because there is a reason. So that's our writer and that's our director. Our co-writer is a man by the name of Aldo Florio. Aldo Florio? I think his name is Aldo Florio. I don't know how to pronounce O's in Italian, so I'm
No,
yeah, so I'm not even gonna try. But
no.
probably something a little bit better than that. But he wrote a bunch of other movies as well, 8 different movies, was also a
Ooh,
director for some Italian movies. He wrote the screenplay for Endgame, which is another movie that we'll talk about, which also stars George Eastman and also had George D'Amato involved. So, like I said,
nice.
we're going to see these people a lot. He also was involved in Warriors of the Year 2072. Once again,
Oh.
same thing for Joe D'Amato, same thing for George Eastman. We will see these fellas a lot, a lot. Strap in. They are basically going to become our Jay and Silent Bob on our post-apocalyptic
Oh,
wasteland because we will see Joe D'Amato and George Eastman popping up together quite a bit, quite a
I
bit.
really like that. I like that
Yeah,
as a comparison.
that's my comparison. Yeah, they are the Jay and Silent Bill of the wasteland. Make it legally distinct,
Jake and
legally.
Silent Bill.
Jake and Silent Bill, man. What do you mean? Two completely different people. Legally distinct. Our cast in this movie is
Hmm.
Nisus is our main star. If
Which
you
I
can
thought for the longest time they were saying Nexus.
Nexus, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a yeah, in this movie set in Texas, he has a very Italian Roman name.
Yes.
Nisus. Yeah. He is quote unquote the main star of this movie, and I say that because he's only in like maybe the first 20,
I was
30
gonna
minutes of
say
it.
heavy quotes. I'm still trying
Yeah.
to figure out who the protagonist, or I guess there were a handful of protagonists, but like who's the main character?
So yeah, this movie is definitely one of those movies. Yeah, we'll talk about it. This is one of those movies. So Nisus is played by a man who also has many fake names. It's too many to go over. His name is
Mhm.
Al Cliver, and he chose Al because he thought people would be confused with Al Pacino.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. He's also in
Did,
Endgame. He's also in Warriors of the Year 2072. He's
Okay.
also in the movie Zombie, the George Romero ripoff. That was an Italian ripoff.
Oh.
So once again, a guy we're going to see a lot of. Joining him as another one of the Texas Gladiators
Mm-hmm.
is playing Jab. Jab sounds like a wrestler. Most of these
Yeah.
guys look like they could be pro wrestlers. Honestly, if you remade this movie, you could recast these guys as a lot of WWE guys because they don't really talk a whole lot. They just need to be big,
It
big, bulky fuckers.
would work.
It could. So Jab is played by Harrison Mueller, and Harrison is going to show up in another post-apocalyptic movie we'll talk about one day. She.
Oh,
That's the
okay.
title. Just She.
I think I've seen
The
that or heard of it.
You've probably seen it's kind of a sword and sorcery Conan the
Yeah,
Barbarian ripoff set in a post-apocalyptic
I've
wasteland
probably seen like the
with
poster
a
for it or
strong
something.
female lead. Yes, 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 yes. You've probably seen the poster for it. Definitely seen the
Yeah.
poster. Our main villain in this film, quote, and the
Mhm.
confirmed rapist,
Oh.
is Catchdog. He's, I mean, not in real life, but in the
Oh,
film,
okay.
he is
Okay.
a
I was
rapist.
about to. Okay.
Catchdog, played by Daniel Stevenson. He has done many jobs. Dude was a model. He was a teacher. He was an actor. He was a director. He was a writer. Done a bunch of jobs. Even showed up in an episode of the Chappelle Show. Oddly enough.
Oh.
So, dude was in a bunch of different things. Kind of did a bunch of different jobs in films
Hmm.
and also in Italy, also in like films, but also outside of films. Like I said, acting, directing, writing, teaching, doing all kinds of different things.
Hmm.
The villain joining him is the Black One, is his name, and
Oh.
I only caught his name in the credits. That's when I found out that was his name.
That's what they
Before
called him?
that, I just had Nazi dude written down.
Yeah. Or I also called him Dime Store Donald Pleasance.
Uh-huh. Yeah, 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 yeah.
We have Donald
So,
Pleasance at home.
yeah,
And
exactly. The Black One is his name in the credits, though. He is played here by Donald O'Brien, who also is a fake name. He has many other names. He
okay.
has been in a lot of Italian schlock. He was in Frankenstein 2000, Panther Squad, um,
That's a
Warriors
hell
of
of a
the
name.
Year, Warriors of the Year 2072. You're going to hear me say that
Hmm.
a couple times. Zombie Holocaust. We'll talk about that
Hmm.
one. He was also in the original Inglorious Bastards too.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I could
And
see that actually.
our
I,
next quote unquote hero in this movie, because Nisus does not last long as our hero,
no.
is Halacron. And Halacron is played here by Peter Hooton. Do you know anything about this guy?
I know nothing about this guy.
You're going to probably want to look him up after this because he
Yeah?
was Doctor Strange in the 1978 TV show, the TV movie that they
Re-
made.
I've never watched it. I'm gonna have to now.
I have not either, but he was Doctor Strange. This guy right here.
Hmm.
That was him. Yep.
Well, hey.
It came out after the Hulk. Like, so I guess they were like, well, they got Lou Ferrigno. We'll get Peter Hooton, which is also a fake name.
Oh.
I don't know his real Italian name, but like I said, everyone in this movie has fake names, and we'll talk about why they
Hmm.
have fake names, because they all use fake names whenever they are in Italian movies. That's kind of how they did things for a little while there.
Hmm.
Yeah. Our last guy here is Red Wolf, who is played by Hal Yamanachi. He
Oh,
has
okay.
appealed to he has a I can't talk now. God damn it, Hal. He's still alive for one thing. He has appeared in
Oh,
120 films. Uh,
dang.
Still working on a bunch of movies, including RoboJocks. He was in that.
Hmm.
He was in New Gladiators, which is a movie we'll talk about. Endgame, which is a movie we'll talk about.
Yeah.
And he was in, like, this might be the one that you immediately visualize him. I want you to close your eyes and think. Right? He was in this movie. Right. So
Hmm.
he was also in Life Aquatica with Steve Zissou.
Um. Oh, you're jogging.
He was
Oh.
one of the guys who attacks the boat when Jeff Goldblum was on it.
Okay. Oh, this is gonna take
Go
me a
back and
second.
watch it. Go back and
Yeah, I'm
watch it.
gonna have to go back and watch it because,
You'll
like,
place him immediately. You'll be like,
yeah,
motherfucker,
because
that's him. Which
I
is
was
the
gonna say I'm trying to
second
remember what
time,
those guys look like.
which is now the second connection I have
Oh.
made between a Wes Anderson movie and an Italian post-apocalyptic movie. I think Wes Anderson liked himself some Italian post-apocalyptic movies
Oh
because
yeah.
this is the second one that he has had some connection to, where either he used the music from or he hired an actor from who was known for these kind of movies. Because Hal Yamanashi is known for these kind of movies. He made his career
Oh,
doing a lot of these post-apocalyptic movies.
that's really cool.
The female star in this movie is the only one who doesn't have a fake name besides Hal, and she is playing a character who I think is called Mada or Maida. I'm not sure. They barely say her name.
I just kept calling her the physical embodiment of bleach blonde.
Pretty much.
Like,
That's pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. She is played here by Sabrina Ciani, and she is an Italian film goddess. She has appeared in a ton of movies by a ton of directors that we will talk about, such as, Joe D'Amato for one, Umberto Lenzi, Lucio Fulci, Jesus Franco, Alfonso Bresca. So yeah, she's going to appear in a bunch of Italian movies, a lot of them post-apocalyptic, and she's pretty cool. You'll see a lot of her as well.
I liked her in it.
Yeah, like I said, this movie is kind of foreshadowing the movie for our podcast, because every one of these actors we will see again. Everyone, the writer, the director, all these people show up again and again and again and again and again.
That's pretty
It's
awesome.
kind of pretty cool, right? Did not know that when I started watching this movie, that all of these people would be like, "Oh, we're gonna see them, we're gonna see them, we're gonna see them, we're gonna see them." Yeah, it's kind of weird. So, it's in premise, this movie is kind of set up to be like a Mad Max ripoff, and it came out a couple years after Mad Max did.
Yes, specifically this Road Warrior.
Yes. But in reality, the movie is less of a Mad Max ripoff and more of kind of like a psycho western, with, unfortunately, rape being like one of the major factors of the movie.
My God.
A lot. Like, this will be the third. I was telling my wife, I was like, whenever I got done watching this, I was like, this is the third movie I'm going to have to record like a little thing at the beginning to be like, so this movie involves rape. Just in case that's a trigger for you. Sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
It's a lot I did not expect that we would see so many movies, and this movie is probably the gratuitous of all of them, honestly.
I hope.
You could cut it out of this movie, and the movie would be fine without it. In fact, it would probably be improved if you cut it out.
I would say improved.
Like, you don't need it. It's so off-putting in this movie, which otherwise would kind of be like if Tarantino made a silent Western revenge kind of porn thing.
Right.
Like if Tarantino had like no money, and he had like no actors other than the people that he was buying crack from at the moment, and that's all he's got, right?
Yep.
And this is his movie. That would kind of be what this movie looks like in my mind.
Yeah. I can gel with that.
Yeah, so this is not the first movie that shows a clear. We're gonna shift a little bit here, so there's not really a whole lot of background to talk about when it comes to this movie. Like, this movie, whenever I read an interview about it from one of the writers, and he basically was like, "Yeah, it was a Mad Max ripoff. We put in virtually no effort. That was kind of what it was. It is what it is. You know, yeah. Basically, like, they all kind of were like, yeah, it was just to make money, right? It is what it is." So there's not really a whole lot of background to get into, but this movie does represent a clear shift in Italian film culture that we can talk about. That's kind of an interesting, more sub discussion. So this is not the first movie in Italy to show this shift, but it's just the first movie that we're talking about that shows this shift. So as we were talking just a second ago, I mentioned how every one of these Italians has a fake American name.
Right.
And this movie has many fake American names, One Eye Force. So you might be wondering why that is, like, right? Why do they have so many fake names, right? And in an episode that's coming up in the future, I actually kind of raised a question that kind of relates these Italian movies to the what is that company? Oh God, Asylum, that puts out modern blockbuster spoofs, and like, are these? I kind of asked that question. Well, I kind of answered my question, going future me talking to past me. This is the timeline has been inverted.
We're going all Memento in here.
Yeah, right. I need to go back to my future self to talk to my past self about Yeah. Anyway, complications. So it has less to do with trying to appeal to the American audience. In fact, it has nothing to do with the Americans at all. It has more to
Oh.
do with appearing to the Italian. So Italy had one of the
Mhm.
strongest film cultures in the world, and it supported its film culture very, very, very immensely. And the
Mhm.
Italians had a wonderful film culture, and they had so many great. Just look at anything Fellini did, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tons of great movies. However, that kind of died in the 80s, and a lot of that had to do with a lot of different reasons. One of them is Italians were making movies that just didn't appeal to them anymore.
Mhm.
The economics of the situation, there was just a bunch of different factors that kind of built up to in the 80s the Italians stopped really supporting their own film culture, right?
Hmm.
They stopped going to the cinema. Kind of honestly, very a lot of parallels to modern America, where a lot of Americans have stopped going to the movies because what is being put out just no longer appeals to us. I liken it
Yeah,
to
I'm with
like
that.
the overabundance of superhero movies, right? We got
Oh
kind of
god, yeah.
too many back to back to back. Kind of became like pro wrestling where it was just about getting a big pop in the audience, right? And
Mhm.
that's fine. Like that's a fun
Yeah.
experience. But if that's all that it is, then a lot of people are going to stop kind of going, which has happened to a lot of people, coupled with the
Mhm.
fact that movies got too damn expensive. Same thing in
Oh
Italy,
god, yeah.
right? So it's the economics mixed with what the output that we're getting is just not really appealing to anybody. So instead, the movies that were successful in Italy were the American movies that were being imported.
Ah.
So if you're an Italian and you want your movie to be viewed as an American movie, you position everyone involved as Americans. So you're not, a 3-day Machazi. Instead, you're Joe D'Amato, right?
Yeah.
You're not whatever George Eastman's actual name is. You're George fucking Eastman, right?
Yeah.
Because
Oh my god.
that way people who are Italians who are watching the movie might get confused,
That's
and this is how it's similar to Asylum. They might get
yes.
confused in the marketplace and mistake, oh, this movie is an American movie, or this movie is a version of a movie that I saw on TV, or whatever the situation is. And you get some confusion and you accidentally go and see something that you probably otherwise wouldn't see. So that was
Like
kind of the
like a
idea behind it.
like all those grandmas getting a movie at Walmart for their grandkid for Christmas time or something like that, and
Yes, yes,
it's
yes.
like
You and I remember. So if you were alive in the early 2000s, there was a company that was on Netflix. You remember the movie I'm going to talk about, hopefully. There was a movie that came out called Cars.
yeah,
And there was a company that decided to rip off the movie Cars, and they put out their own version called, I think, Little Cars.
it was something like that. It was
And
it was Cars was in the title.
it came out on Netflix and it came out on DVD at the same time. And it was one of those movies that you and I, for whatever reason, decided to sit through and hate watch. And man, was it a hateful watch.
Oh
Like
god.
that movie was a miserable experience for my life. I have never forgotten it. So much of nothing happens in such a long
It's
period of time.
and it's like this really old like computer animation style
Oh
where it's
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
The
I
movie
don't know,
was
like
made in
a
like 1995 on like MS Paint, and they were like,
yeah,
"Little
basically.
cars, take it, fucker. Like, what do you want from us?" And then someone was like, "Oh shit, we're gonna release this in like 2006. Oh shit, well let's make the graphics a little bit better and make the cars have voices that do not match up with their words that they're
Oh my
saying at
god.
all, at
I
all,
kind
not a single time."
I kind of want to go back and rewatch it.
Oh Lord mercy, I do not. That there's
No.
a there are so many of them too.
Yes.
They made so many of them, and they're not very long. They're like 50 minutes long. So like,
Yeah, there yeah.
which sucks because you start to watch it and you're like 10 minutes in and you're like, well, it's almost like it's not that far from being over. I can make it 20 more minutes. And then
Yeah.
you make it 20 more minutes and then it's like, well shit, I'm almost like it's almost over. I might as well just finish the fucking thing. And then you've wasted 50 minutes of your life on little cars and now you hate yourself for the rest of your life. And it starts a downward progress, right? This is how
Yes.
millennials ended up where we are. It's because of little cars.
I
I'm
believe it.
blaming it squarely on the shoulders of the creators of Little Cars. So yeah, that's how this movie came to be. It was a Mad Max ripoff positioned as an American movie to Italian audiences to try to confuse them in the marketplace. so that maybe they would hopefully go see this dreadful piece of shit that is less of a Mad Max ripoff and more of a really ill-conceived silent Western that is horribly violent and
Oh yeah,
has a lot of rape.
it's uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable amounts. That's pretty much the movie. So I'm going to put a warning before we start this episode, but here's another warning before we even get into the plot. If
Yeah.
you this movie has a lot of rape. It is an uncomfortable amount.
Mm.
So if that's an issue, that's something that you don't like hearing about, I perfectly understand. You
Oh
probably
yeah.
don't need to listen to the rest of this episode because it's only going to get downhill from here.
Oh yeah.
This movie, that's the one trick pony it rides home on,
Oh god.
over and over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So before we talk about that, and before those of you that don't want to hear anything about that subject matter depart from our episode, I don't blame you. Let's talk about something hopefully a little bit more cheerful than the subject
Mm-hmm.
of sexual assault, as we talk about what was in the charts when this movie came out.
Ooh, awesome.
This
American
movie came
charts or
American, yes. I
Italian
did. I
charts
did not throw the Italian
disguised?
charts out. You
You didn't.
know,
You didn't want to go to
no,
Italian
no.
charts that were disguised as American.
No, 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 no. I thought about it. I thought about looking up like what was going on in Italy when this movie came out. But no, no, unfortunately not. No, no, that was a bit too much for that.
That would be too much.
This movie came out in America on June 10th, 1983.
Okay.
And any guesses as to what was in the charts on June 10th,
Oh,
1983? The top 5 songs.
top
I
five
will
songs.
say you will know. I don't know if you'll know every one of these songs. You will know every one of these artists.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think by '83, I've got a fair. I mean, that was the year I was being born, but
Yeah, yeah.
I have a pretty fair grasp
Yeah, we're
on
children of the internet, you know.
exactly.
I always give my high school kids crap for it because I'm like, you have no excuse to have poor taste in movies and music. You have literal access to an endless encyclopedia of
Yeah,
everything fucking great ever made.
absolutely. I
If you
didn't
don't
know
if you
anything
don't
about.
exactly, I didn't have access to any of this shit when I was in high
Mm.
school. I would have been a different fucking kid. I had to go and find things and
Yeah.
held on to sacred things that are shitty that I just found because I was like, well, yeah, I like that movie
Yeah,
because I
this is
found
what I
it on
like.
my
Yeah.
own
Yeah.
rather than it being like a good movie. Yeah. No, no, I always tell the high school kids I teach, I'm like, you have no excuse to have bad taste. Like, if
Yeah.
anything, y'all's generation should have the best taste in music.
Yeah,
Like,
really.
you have access to everything. Just
Like
go look it
what I
up.
wouldn't
Go look
give
it
to
up.
know about Akira Kurosawa when I was 14. That'd been awesome.
That would have been cool. That would have been fucking neat.
Yes.
So any guesses?
Oh, I'm at a
Number
loss
five.
actually right now.
All right, I'll give you a hint on number five. Number five
Okay.
is he was a popular R&B singer.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite at the level of Michael Jackson, who was on the charts, but Michael Jackson pretty much dominated 6 through 10, or pretty much all Jackson songs. But
Oh
number
yeah.
five at this time, his daughter also got very famous. She was hanging out with Paris Hilton. Um,
Oh, okay.
he did a famous
Uh,
music video where he touches a face of a blind person.
yes, and also another one where he's dancing on a ceiling.
Yeah. Any guesses?
Lionel Richie.
Lionel Richie. The song is
Mhm.
"My Love."
I might know that one.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
if you look it up on your YouTube, you'll immediately be like, "Yep,
Yeah.
yeah, My Love, yeah, yeah." Number four, is I don't know, maybe they're an Australian group. I'm not sure. I
It
don't know the song, but I do know the group.
is it Men at Work?
Yep, it is Men at Work, and the song
Okay.
is Overkill.
I might know that song too.
And are they Australian?
Yes, I hope.
Okay, I think so.
They
I
did
believe
that one
them.
song from down that
From Down Under. Yeah,
yeah, that
yeah.
I
Maybe
hope
a
they're
little appropriation.
I was going to say Italian, good lord.
Um,
Australian.
Number three is a confusing one because the title is For Time, but the song is number three in the charts. This was a song I had no idea of. I know the band, but I did not know the song.
I don't know it right away.
Culture Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I
And
don't know that song.
number two, yeah, I'll tell you the artist. Try to guess the song. Let's see if what your knowledge of the Duke is. David Bowie is number two.
Oh god, in
Any guesses?
83?
83 David Bowie song.
Oh man. Do I even know 80s?
I
Bowie?
remember, so I have a strange, that's the word I just
Yes.
made up. a
Nice.
strange connection to this album because this album was on his Let's Dance album. And I
Okay.
remember when I was in college, I used to listen to that album a bunch. That was like one of the records I had that I got
Okay.
from like Hastings for like $1. And I used to listen to Let's Dance a lot.
Hmm.
That's the song. It's Let's Dance.
Oh,
Let's
it is Let's
Dance.
Dance. Oh,
Hmm.
okay. I love that song.
It's a good song. And number
But I mean, I
one
love both. It's
is
fun.
from a movie. Number one is from a
Oh.
movie. Movie involving dancing.
Flashdance?
Yep. What a feeling from
Oh,
Flashdance.
nice.
Yep, that's it.
Okay.
That was the number one song when this movie came out was Flashdance.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we get into the plot, and before those of you that do not want to hear about this movie's unfortunate storytelling
Ugh.
devices,
Yeah.
very unfortunate storytelling devices, the only other really interesting thing to talk about with this movie is that this movie also was featured on the April 17th, 1999 episode of Monstervision on TNT with Joe Bob Briggs. And we're going to include some clips of that at the end of the episode. He makes some jokes that I thought were funny, and hopefully TNT doesn't try to come after me. But hey, what are you gonna do, right?
Hey.
If they're gonna, there's no legal way to watch like old Monstervision, so like the only way to watch it is
Oh.
basically on YouTube. There's no streaming of like old Monstervision episodes. So, but it's fun if
That's a
you have the
bummer.
movie. Like if you have this movie and you want to be like, I want to watch this movie, and I also want to see the interjections of Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah.
You can make that happen with a little bit of editing. It ain't too hard. Both of these things are on YouTube for free. This movie is kind of a pain in the ass to find to have any subtitles for. It had no
Oh,
subtitles at
yeah.
all. There's barely any talking. Almost every version of it is either German or
Hmm.
Italian. It took me forever to find an American copy that
Yeah,
had anything at all.
I started watching one that was German. I was like, well, I don't think this is gonna work.
So it's been re-released on Blu-ray by
Oh.
one of those boutique Blu-ray companies, not Vinegar
Hmm.
Syndrome. I forget which one. Maybe I don't remember. I don't want to take a guess at it, but it's probably like
Yeah.
40, $50 for a copy of it. Kind of like
Hmm.
that Tank Girl copy that I sent you an
Yeah.
example of, where I was like, well, if you want the copy of Tank Girl you're talking about, it's like $50. So
Maybe eventually.
eventually, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one with the director's commentary. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, it's one of those Blu-rays that is a little bit pricey that is specially put out for these boutique Blu-ray companies, which I like. I like a lot of them. I've
Yeah.
bought a couple DVDs and a couple Blu-rays from them. They put out good shit, but yeah, that's not one that I have purchased. Was Texas 2020 Texas Gladiators. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're gonna take a break and we're gonna come
Yeah.
back and talk about the plot of this movie, and then we'll get on out of here. See you in a
Hmm.
second.
See you.
And now, Joe Bob's Last Call and 2020 Texas Gladiators on TNT.
Oh my God, we're back again,
We
and
did
here
it.
we are. We are back to talk about Texas Gladiators from the year 2020. This
Hmm.
movie did not predict the year 2020 at all, and
No.
in some ways, I'm kind of glad because this movie is fucked up.
Yeah.
And 2020 was fucked up enough. So hopefully,
Yeah, I was about to say.
hopefully this wasn't like anyone's 2020 experience, because goddamn,
Oh man.
we've given, like I said, we started the episode with a warning. We had a warning at the midway point. Here's another warning.
Yeah,
This
really.
movie has a lot of sexual assault in it. It's unfortunately the crutch of the writers.
Hmm.
And we have to talk about it briefly. We'll talk about it ever so briefly. It's not really needed in the movie at all. You could completely remove it from the movie and the movie would be fine. You could imply
Yeah.
it, or you could have the characters do something else that's just not needed in this movie.
Yeah, I
But
would get that
it is
they're evil.
unfortunately there. Yeah, I was gonna, it's like, so me and my wife recently, she didn't watch this with me, but we watched shortly after I watched this, we watched Showgirls together
Hmm.
for the first time in a little while. We usually watch it every year together. And in
Hmm.
Showgirls, I was reading up on Showgirls just because I do this with every movie I watch. I just sit there and I kind of, especially if it's a movie I've seen before,
Oh,
I
absolutely.
flip through IMDb, flip through directors' profiles, kind of go down rabbit holes, learn about these directors, writers,
Hmm.
things like that. And Paul Verhoeven, one of the things that he
Oh.
said about Showgirls was that the movie is good, and I love Showgirls. The
Hmm.
movie is really strong, But when you get to the third act rape scene in Showgirls, it is so off-putting that the tonal shift is just massive. And it
Mm-hmm.
kind of almost ruins the movie in a way.
Yeah.
Like he has said that he would probably change it if he could. That was like the one part of the movie he would probably change over again. Right? Because you just don't need
Yeah.
it. You don't need it in the movie.
Mm,
And in this movie, I would say that the director and writer here could have taken some advice from Paul Verhoeven and been like, yeah, you don't really need it. And
yeah.
especially in this situation, it tonally it ruins whatever tone you're looking for because you can't come back from it, right?
No.
Like it's not a thing you can like throw into a movie and be like, all right, and now we get to have some chuckles. Like, nope,
Right.
sorry, chuckles are gone. You
Yeah,
threw a rape
really.
scene in. That
Yeah.
that kind of shuts some shit down there. If you're going
And
for
one of
like
them was
a
like really long.
I'm just talking about movies in general. Like I'm
Oh yeah.
just speaking matter of
Oh, just in
factly.
general.
Speaking
Yeah.
on
No,
yeah,
as like
I'm
a
just
plot
on my
device,
little
no.
on my little soapbox here. Like I just don't think it has much place in movies. Uh
No.
Especially because I don't know. I feel like it's just like as a person who knows how movies are made, like that filming that took hours. And so that's like just
Mm-hmm.
PTSD for that whoever's involved in that scene, man and female, like whoever's
Mm-hmm.
involved in it. They have to live that out over and over and over again for hours sometimes to film that scene that's in the movie for like what 10, 15 seconds, whatever it is.
Yeah.
This movie, unfortunately, much longer.
Yeah.
But like you just don't need it in most movies. I feel like you can remove it especially if it's just a plot device because like I said tonally it's hard to come back from. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
work in comedies. If you put it in a horror movie, then everything you do after that is going to have to like step up from that, which dear
Yeah.
god you're going to do a lot, and that's
Yeah.
just going to kind of fuck up your movie.
Really.
If all you're doing it is to make you are if all you're using it for is to make us hate the antagonist, that's just poor writing. Because you could come up with
Yeah.
1,000 different reasons to make us hate the antagonist. Then oh they're a rapist. Like okay yeah, are they a Nazi too? Like what else are you gonna throw on
Yeah.
there?
I
Like
mean, you
come on,
really like you.
let's get a
You
little bit
just
more
have
creative
to
here.
just establish that the people that they're attacking are the good guys, and
Yeah
I'm on
yeah
board.
right. If only we could make their skin color an issue.
Oh
If only,
God.
right? Like
Right.
it's just not very forward thinking or even really
Exactly.
any thinking. It shows very little creative thinking and very
Mm-hmm.
little use of your writing ability to create any kind of
Yeah.
interesting nuances with your villains. I don't know. I think
Right.
writing a good villain is a skill, and not
Mm-hmm.
everyone can do it very well.
No.
This author of this movie, not at all.
No.
He's
And
terrible at it.
I recently like I was trying to watch I was gonna try to get started on like an anime show. I don't watch a
Yeah,
lot of anime, but I was gonna try.
same.
And it's kind of started out almost exact like I think it really does just immediately start with like an attempted sexual assault scene. And I was like, no,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
doing it. Like
Yeah, if
I'm
I
just
wasn't watching this movie for the show, this is almost one that I texted you and was like, maybe we pivot away from this. Because
yeah.
like I was not
Yeah.
until I got into like the background of how many different times
Yeah.
we're gonna see these guys in this movie, like all of the actors we see again and
Mm-hmm.
again and again. Same thing with the writer, same thing with the director. And then talking about like the relation to the Italian movie Decline. That's pretty much
Mm-hmm.
the only reason I thought we should talk about this movie is because
Yeah.
as a movie, this movie leaves a lot to be leaves a lot to be desired. I'm glad
Oh
I
yeah.
never bought this from the boutique DV a
Yeah,
Blu-ray spot
nah.
because this would be I think maybe a waste of $40.
I think so.
But let's start with the plot here. So the movie is called Texas. First things first, it has nothing to do with Texas at all.
Not even a little.
Not even a little bit. I will try to add some Texas to it because both you and I, born and raised Texan, god damn
Born
it.
and raised.
Yeah, I now people are probably going to be like, "Where's your cowboy boots, your horse, and your
Oh
and all
God.
that." First things first, I had to put the horse down. It broke its leg. I'm sorry. The cowboy
Yep.
hat is hanging up right there by the Texas Longhorns poster, and my boots are in the closet. So I'm sorry.
And I own none of those things.
And I no longer live in Texas. I
Yeah, there you go.
But all my exes live in Texas. So
There
instead,
you go.
I put my hat here in Tennessee.
Nice. That's actually really good.
There you go. Me and George got something in common.
You were subpoenaed in Texas, sequestered in Memphis.
There you go. Yeah, hold steady too. Yeah, I actually don't know where my exes live at. They may not live in Texas. I
Yeah.
have no idea. I have not
No
kept up.
telling.
No telling. Do you not know anymore? Got other shit going on.
Yeah,
Speaking of
really.
other shit going on, this movie starts with our gladiators from, I'm guessing, Galveston. I want to say they're from
Yeah,
Galveston.
I like it.
Yeah, these
They have a
Galveston.
very Galveston look to them.
Yeah, these Galveston gladiators. There's some alliteration for you. These Galveston gladiators go running around this compound, which is very clearly not anywhere in Texas. Nowhere in Texas looks like this.
No.
And I've been, fuck shit.
Yeah.
Has there anywhere in Texas I haven't been? Goddamn. West Texas. I've been to El Paso. I've been
Yeah.
Odessa, Midland, Marfa, Pecos, Galveston, Houston, Huntsville, McAllen, Brownsville, Laredo. I guess I haven't spent much time around Tyler. East Texas, I
No.
drove through when I moved to Memphis, and
Yeah.
that's about it. So I haven't spent
Yeah.
a lot of time in Tyler. But other than Tyler, East Texas area, I've pretty much
Mhm.
been all over Texas,
Oh, yeah.
and am
Same.
I can speak with some geographic certainty of a couple things. And with some geographic precision, I can tell you this movie ain't got shit all to do with Texas.
No.
Nothing at all. I think at one point there's a sign that says Texas and it might be misspelled. That's about it. So
Amazing.
another reason to just confuse the audience. Maybe someone's going to
Yeah.
buy it in Italy in the 80s and go see it and be like, oh, it takes place in Texas. This is what Texas
Yeah,
looks
it's
like.
going to be a Western,
The
but a future
the
Western.
the dense forests of Huntsville. I don't know. Like, there's no forest in fucking Texas.
No.
Like, we don't got any goddamn forests. We got some hills. We got some
Yeah.
fuck all hills, but we ain't got a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
forests. Not like they
I
do
grew
in
up in the
Italy.
hills.
Yeah, yeah. We're delaying talking about this fucking shitty movie. So the
Well,
movie,
it's
yeah.
so confusing. I had to I had to
So,
watch
dude,
it like the
yeah,
first part of
nothing
it.
in this movie makes sense.
No, for the longest time I didn't know any of their names.
You barely learn their names until the
Yeah,
end of the
I
movie.
only
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, this is
So
one of those. There's so, but the first thing that we got to talk about is this is a Mad Max ripoff.
mhm,
Second thing is there's virtually no dialogue.
yeah.
The camera angles are kind of unique and fun,
Yeah.
but
There were
unfortunately,
some of the
like,
action scenes I got I got a lot of
see, like
enjoyment out of.
that's what people online comment a lot, but I just don't think a lot of people online watch enough Italian movies because if you've seen Demons or if you've seen Demons 2, if you've seen any Fulci, this is all
Mhm.
Fulci. This is all Lucio Fulci 101. There's nothing unique here. It's just
Oh,
kind
well,
of
no.
it's all derivative camera angles.
Yeah.
It's good, it's competent, but
I was gonna say.
if you've watched enough Italian movies, then you've seen a lot of this shit before. It's not anything that's
Yeah.
too
Oh, they're
super
definitely not.
impressive. There's better
Yeah.
movies that do a lot of the same cinematography work that you see
Yeah.
here. Like the cinematography work is probably the only unique thing about this movie is how the camera
Mhm.
moves. But similarly, like I said, if you could just watch Demons or Demons 2 and you would get a much better movie and a much better viewing of some cinematographical tricks that you're
Oh,
going to see
yeah.
here. And you don't have to see all the rape, which is how this movie
Yeah.
starts.
It's
Because
exactly how it starts.
the gladiators show up, and the very first thing they do is they stop a rape. Thankfully,
Yeah, that was nice.
they stop a group of girls from getting raped. Unfortunately, not in time for some of them. And one of the
Yeah, one
girls,
of them.
yeah,
Oh, I was gonna
one of
say, are you
them,
talking about the one that
that,
got herself out of the rape?
yeah, by killing herself, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're getting attacked by like zombies. They look like they're like these
Yeah.
clay. They don't really explain who these people
Yeah,
are.
they
You
were.
never see them again. This movie also, we never really know why we're in the wasteland, what happened to get us here.
The only
Um,
thing they say is, uh, Dime Store Donald Pleasance does
mhm.
say something about atomic war,
Yes, there was an atomic
and that's
war.
it.
That's about it. That's all we get.
Yep.
And we're in the desert. And other than that, you never get really told that it's a
Yep.
wasteland ever again, other than just like, hey, we're ripping off Mad Max here, baby.
Yeah, basically.
That's all you need to know. So yeah, they stop a rape immediately, and then they find another girl who is
Hmm.
alive. Catchdog finds her, and then the very
Yeah.
first thing Catchdog does is tries to rape her.
Tries. Yep.
Yeah, right,
Like
immediately.
any like equity they built up with me on that whole
Mhm.
thing. Like I was like,
Yeah.
well, that's nice. They're
Yeah, like, so
stopping
the
it.
movie starts and you're like, okay, these people are horrific, and then you're like, all right, so these are the good guys, right? Like these guys are
Yeah.
going to stop this, and then the good guys start trying to rape, and you're like, well, who the fuck is the good guy here? You're like, god damn, like this like movie throws me for a fucking loop.
Yeah.
It'd be like if fucking Luke Skywalker like immediately showed up with Ben Kenobi and he started dropping like hard N words. You're like, holy
Right.
shit, like Luke, like I want to like you, but like what the fuck are you doing, bro? Like, oh
Strong
god,
entrance,
dude.
but oh boy, you fell off there.
Yeah, not a way to make an impression. Let's back it up a bit. Let's maybe take it for a strong second edit. And let's see how to make our main character not a horrible piece of shit. Because that's immediately how you kind of feel is like that's immediately kind of how you feel as this movie starts. You're like,
Yeah.
what in the hell? Like, okay, so these guys aren't the good guys either.
Yeah.
So
Well,
but then Catch Dog gets stopped by Nisus.
yeah. And so he's redeemed
Yeah.
in that. Or
You
at least he
see.
keeps himself redeemed.
Yeah, but so then you're like, okay, so Nisus is the good guy, right? He saves this
Yeah.
girl, and he's like, okay, we have one redeeming character, right? So,
Yeah.
but then the movie does this weird thing where it just time jumps without
Yeah.
any explanation.
That was the thing I had
jump
to go
forward in
back.
time.
I was like, wait, I missed something.
You didn't miss anything. Nothing is cut. Nothing has been removed. The only versions of this movie that got edited was in Germany. They edited out some of the violence and some of the gore, kept all the sexual assault scenes.
Oh.
And in Canada, they edited out 18 seconds of the gore and the violence, kept all the sexual assault scenes.
Goodness.
So the time jumps are in there from the beginning. There's nothing missing. That's just how the movie is.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but before we time jump though, because this is the part that was confusing to me because like they go to this compound and they kill all these guys that are rapists. And so
Yeah.
you're like, okay, these are the good guys, right? They're killing the rapists. Like that's good. Cool. Yeah. And then one of them starts trying to also commit sexual assault and you're like,
Yes.
okay, he gets stopped. Certainly based on what I've seen thus far, you're going to kill him.
Yeah.
Nope. They just take his dog tags from him and they're like, you're out of here. And that's it. And Catch Dog runs away like a little bitch, like a little Brock Turner ass bitch, and just takes off into the Italian wastelands to show back up in the movie. And about, I guess, I'm thinking like years pass.
Yeah.
Because that's what the next thing that happens is years pass.
I almost think that what was her name? Maida, whatever.
Maida, yeah.
Because she's the one that gets saved by Nisus.
Yes.
Yeah. I kind of feel like she's the main character, but just not really in the movie enough to be a main character.
You would see that's kind of what I was thinking. Like I thought like you could totally take this movie and if you re-edit it a little bit and you take out some of the sexual assault or maybe all of the sexual assault.
I would say all. You could take all of it out and be just fine.
You could kind of turn it into like a post-apocalyptic, like Mad Maxy version of maybe like, oh, what's the name of that movie? I Spit on Your Grave.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Right, something like that. Or maybe like Last House on the Left, right? Where like yes, it happens to her, but she fucking kills everybody involved.
Yes.
Right? And just murders everyone. Cool. Like at least I'm not saying you're redeeming the act because you can't, but at least you're narratively having some kind of arc with the storytelling. You're taking it somewhere, right? Still don't think you should do it, but you're taking it somewhere. This movie doesn't do that. It doesn't do that at all. In fact, she tells him that she's been, I think, sexually assaulted like 12 times before this.
Jeez.
So like, it's just something that she casually mentions in like one of the, like, there's maybe in this 90-minute long movie, there's like what, maybe 20 pages of dialogue.
Yeah, right.
There's not a lot of talking in this movie.
No, there is not.
And it's not like a Christopher Guest movie where it's like, oh, here's a blank stage for my actors to like improv off of. There's just a lot of like people doing fuck all and staring.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much it. which is basically what we get next. Is the movie time jumps hard, and you don't know it's time jumped at first because there's no explanation,
Yep.
there's
No,
no
nothing on the screen that
graphics,
says
nothing,
next 5 years or something. I assume it's
nothing.
about 5 years though.
Yes. The movie just jumps forward, and all of a sudden, Nisus is working at like a factory repairing some pipes, but you're not even really sure it's him at first because he's got a hat
No.
on. So you're like, who the fuck is that? And
Yeah.
it's like, okay. And then you see Maeda come out, and she's got a kid now, and the kid's
Yeah.
like 5, 6, 7 years old.
Something
And you're
like
like,
that.
okay, like, well, and then he takes his hat off, and you're like, okay, that's Nisus. I guess they're in
Yeah.
the town, and I guess they're married now, and I guess they had a kid.
And
I
5 years have
and
passed.
5 years have passed. I don't know. Like, these things just
like what
happen
happened to
one
all the
after
other
the other.
guys? Like
It's just gone.
what?
He's no longer a gladiator, I guess, anymore. I
Yeah.
guess he left Galveston. Maybe he's living in Corpus now, right? He's living
Right.
in Corpus Christi. He's
They
trying to
did
get
look very
sober.
sweaty, so a lot of
He
humidity.
did look very sweaty. He's seeing Salina, right? He's getting the whole Corpus Christi experience.
Yep.
And yeah, that's what you kind of think is happening. But then all of a sudden, they're like, oh, well, the town's going to explode. Like, so you need to go save the town by go
Yeah.
fixing this pipe that's about to blow up. So he goes and does that. And in
While
spite of the
everybody
town,
stands-
everyone's just standing around looking rather calm about the whole situation. The
Just
doctor even
watching
looks,
the door.
the doctor even fucking looks at Maeda and goes, this is really life or death. This is touch and go. Like, we all might die here.
It's
But
like, yeah.
exactly that tone. Like, exactly that tone. Just like you would be like, yeah, the Tampa Bay Bucks are doing great this year. Like, they're doing something, right?
Yeah.
That Baker Mayfield, he's something. Like, just very non-monotone about, I
Oh,
guess
yeah.
everyone fucking dying. Like, fuck it. It's happening.
And no one's in there to help him. No one's doing any, like, they're
Nope,
just
he's got to do
they're
it all
all
by
standing
himself.
there just
One
watching
guy.
the door.
One fucking guy. One guy. Right?
My God.
One guy, right? So, and then as soon as he gets done saving it, the doc is like, all right, everyone saved, back to work.
Yeah.
Like,
How
you
did you
guys don't
know?
even get the day off. You don't get a fucking lunch break. You don't get a, like, hey, can we get a smoke break? Like a 15-minute, anything. Like,
Yeah,
nothing.
really.
Doc's like, get your asses back to work, you fucking no good for nothings. Like, no breaks.
Yeah, they do not have a
Get
strong
back.
union in this town.
They have no fucking union. They should kill this fucking doc. He doesn't give a shit
Right.
about them. He might be the villain of the movie. I don't know. The movie
Honestly,
has a very hard time telling you who the heroes are. It has a
Yes.
very hard time giving you the heroes. The villains are very clear. It's virtually
yeah.
everybody. Like,
Basically.
it's fucking
Oh,
so
man.
weird. So then, like, you think that you think the
Disasters
movie's
averted.
yeah,
you
you
know.
think that the movie's going to be about, like, okay, he's living in this town. He saved this woman. It's the post-apocalypse. Like, okay, maybe we're going to get, like, I'm thinking, like, Fallout, like the video game, Fallout 3. Like, you get to
Yeah.
the first town, right? There's a nuke in the middle of it, right? You're saving this town. You spend a lot of
Yeah.
time in that first city, unless you just blow it the fuck up. But,
Well,
like,
yeah.
if you haven't played the video game, you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about right now. But you kind of go into the presumption that we're going to spend some time with Nisus and with this town.
Yeah.
Nope. Pretty much right away, immediately after saving the town, before they even get a fucking lunch break, the town gets attacked by raiders.
Yep.
And almost everyone in the town gets killed. And who is amongst the raiders? Fucking Catchdog.
Yep.
And who is Catchdog allied with? Apparently, some Nazis?
Himmler?
Himmler? I think it's supposed to be Himmler. The dude is dressed like a fucking Nazi. But
Oh,
they
absolutely.
I don't think they ever say his damn name in the movie. If
No,
they
they
do, I did not hear it.
Or yeah,
In
I
the
did
Joe
hear.
Bob Briggs episode, he refers to him as Dr. Evil, which is a running joke he makes in several episodes. But
Oh, nice.
at the end of the credits, they call him the Black One.
That.
But he's dressed like a Nazi. Like, he legitimately looks like a
Yeah.
Nazi. And amongst his command, there's like a never-ending supply of these like android robotic things with shields that are just
Yeah.
like bulletproof.
Oh,
And the
I'm very
bulletproof
unclear on
effects,
those.
the bulletproof effects are god awful.
Oh yeah.
They
Well,
look
I'm very
terrible.
unclear on how the shields work.
They just have them and they hold them up and things
Yeah.
just fly off of them. Don't ask questions.
It was a cool design, I guess. But
Was it?
no, but well, okay, let me rephrase that. The idea of the gun being mounted in the shield, kind of interesting, but there being a complete open middle,
Uh,
not smart, not a
the
good
only
look.
I thought the only thing interesting about this whole town was that all of them were armed. That's the most Texas thing about this
That
movie.
that was pretty cool.
That was the most Texas thing about this movie.
Yeah.
It's the
And
most
that
Texas
had
thing about this movie.
something, yeah, it was like, well, because I mean, if you're gonna do the parallel to the Road Warrior, this is basically, they're all on their motorcycles, they're coming to attack the town, just like in
Oh,
uh
motherfucker. Oh, keep
did you
going. I just realized something.
oh, did you?
Yeah, keep
Well,
going.
oh, I was gonna say, because then there's another parallel with how in Mad Max or in the Road Warrior, the 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 second kind of in command guy or whatever, like the head lackey, just like how Ket's dog was, um, he ends up getting his, you know, what do you even call it? Like his lover, I guess,
Yeah.
killed. And in this movie, the nicest seemingly aims at the lady on his bike, like on
Yeah,
Cat's
yeah,
dog's
yeah. Oh,
bike.
yeah, he does. He takes him
So
out. He takes her out.
so that was
Yeah,
that
I'll
was
get to that in a
almost
minute.
1-to-1.
Yeah, here in a minute we'll talk about what happens between Nisus and Catch Dog. The thing that I just realized
Yeah.
is this movie. So this movie is set up to be Texas Gladiators. They're supposed to be in Texas, and the beginning of the movie is them holding down a fort. You could have easily made this a fucking parable to Alamo,
Oh
like
yeah,
with like as
yeah.
a fucking like just like as like T-ball. Just put the ball on there. The fucking Battle of the Alamo right there, done.
Yeah.
And then you could have done so many things with this, like a post-apocalyptic Battle of the Alamo, which is probably it's been done. That's basically Assault on Precinct 13,
Well, yeah.
and it's also like fucking Day of the Dead, Dawn of the Dead as well, a little bit too, like
Yeah,
and Night of the Living Dead as well, a little bit. So like in every zombie movie ever, a little bit.
basically.
But like you could have easily done something more unique. This movie has a lot. I would say it has a lot of potential. It doesn't. This movie has a lot of
No.
just ideas. It has a lot of stems that you could
Oh
like
yeah.
you can see going somewhere, and then the director just stopped and was like, sexual assault though. And it
Yeah.
was just like, okay, you kind of have a one-track mind here, because just about
Yeah.
every good idea is interjected by just some sexual assault
Yeah,
popping up.
something awful happening. I
Yeah.
could see a lot of like I could picture a scenario or a lot of scenarios where they're just like sitting around and be like, okay, well now what happens?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like you didn't have this planned out or
Smoking a fat blunt together and just being like, after
basically.
20 minutes of silence, they just kind of agree in Italian sexual assault, and
Yeah,
someone
basically.
writes down one sentence in their 20 sentences that they wrote on this
Yeah.
fucking screenplay. So the town is getting attacked. Nisus
Yeah.
looks over, like you mentioned. He sees Catch Dog. Oh my god, it's that fucking dude from years ago. He
Yeah.
has a gun. He decides not to shoot Catch Dog.
Yeah.
Instead, he shoots the woman behind Catch Dog, who we are led to
Which
believe, I guess, is his girlfriend. We don't
yeah, he
know.
gets real mad when
He
she gets
gets
shot
very
in the
pissed.
head.
He gets very pissed when she gets shot in the head. But we don't know if they're lovers, how much, like, have they been together
Yeah.
just as long as he's been with her? Does she know about his past involving what he did to this
Yeah,
girl?
right. Like
Like, any of this. We don't know any of this. He's just,
she
she's
must
dead
know
now.
something about him because he just went.
Yeah.
He aimed right at
He takes her
her
out.
only. I don't
Yeah,
think he shot at anybody else even.
Yes, Nisus takes her the fuck out. And then he gets overran, and you think he's
Yep.
dead, but he's just knocked unconscious. Everyone in town gets eventually kidnapped. It takes
Yep.
kind of goes on for a while. It's just constant scenes of like dirt bikes, which like Texas people in Texas do ride dirt bikes, but
Yeah.
people in Texas also would have ridden some Harleys, right? There's no
I
Harleys
think
in this
so.
movie at all.
Not even a four-wheeler. See, I grew up with
Yeah,
four-wheelers.
four-wheelers, nothing. That's like I said, they didn't even try to put anything Texas in this
No.
movie in the slightest.
No.
So the town gets overrun and Nisus gets captured, and we get subjected to yet another scene of sexual
Yep.
assault.
And
Again,
it's to the same chick.
same girl. Yep. And
Well,
Nisus,
there is another one though. Oh
yes,
God, I
it
forgot about
happens.
this one.
Yeah. It happens another time. Yeah.
The big guy.
Yeah. The big guy also sexually assaults another. I think it's a boy.
It's a young boy.
Yeah, it's a young boy that gets sexually
While
assaulted
the
as well.
grandmother is like trying to
Yeah, the
protect
grandmother
him or
is kind of
something.
forced to protect and watch while it's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't see much of the scene, but it's definitely
Yeah, that they.
heavily implied. Instead, they
Oh yeah.
subject you to almost a full scene of another sexual assault, which
Yeah.
happens to Nisis's wife, which is Maeda, the girl that the first sexual assault in the movie happened
Already
to.
dealt with.
Yeah, and this
Oh,
one
man.
happens in front of her child as well as
Yeah.
him also
Is he's
being
like
knocked
chained?
unconscious. He's chained up to watch, but he's able to get out shortly afterwards. So I don't
Yeah.
know how well the chains were holding him in. The movie doesn't really help you much.
No.
So that happens, and this is when I watched the movie and was like in the middle of texting you, being like, maybe we should watch something else because this is really hard to watch.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like what I was talking about earlier with Little Cars to tie back in that, because you're thinking like, well, how much more of this movie is there? You're like half over.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the movie's like half over at this point. And
I will
so
say that
far, what has
first part
happened?
took a
Fucking
long
nothing.
time.
It takes
Yeah.
forever. It's just the attack scene goes on and
Oh yeah.
on. It's a lot of repeated footage of people blowing up, people shooting at this.
Mm-hmm.
It just goes on for a while.
Yeah.
And then the sexual assault scenes go on for a
Yeah.
while. And then you get to
And
meet the whole fucking bad guy. He shows up
yeah.
as his Nazi regalia, and he's telling the town basically what's going to happen, which is basically
Yeah.
that he's going to separate the town based on gender, and
Yeah,
the
guys
men are
live
going to
here,
be worked
girls
to
live here.
death, and the women are going to be sold into sex slavery.
Basically. And then
That's
that's
pretty
when
much how it's
Nisus
going to
makes
work.
his triumphant return.
Yes,
Well,
Isis
semi.
charged back. Yeah, Nisus charges back in, and to avenge his wife, he kills her. He does kill her. He does kill her rapist.
Yeah.
Stabs him to
Finally.
death. Finally, unfortunately,
they
was
killed the
not able to.
rapist.
He finally killed one. It took him long enough.
Could have killed Catch Dog.
Could have killed Catch Dog, and the movie would have not changed. I don't think a bit. I would
Yeah.
say like you would have no villain then, but there's other villains
It could have been
besides Catch
anybody.
Dog. Literally, all of them are villains. Most of the people in
Yeah.
this movie are shitty human beings.
Yeah.
There's very few redeeming characters. Maeda is like the only redeeming character,
I think
and
so.
thankfully she makes it through the fucking movie. You hope at the end that she doesn't die, but
You're right.
you get teased several times that she's going to.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Nisus charges in. He gets himself killed though. So Nisus,
Yeah.
the guy that you think is the hero,
Yeah.
we're like, he's dead now.
And then the movie just hard turns.
Yep. And then we get another time jump.
Yeah.
Now you
And
might
now
be
we're
asking
watching-
how much time has passed. I don't fucking know.
No.
I literally tried to figure it out. I tried to be like, okay, has it been days? Has it been weeks? Has it been months? It's certainly not been years. That much I
No.
know. It hasn't been a year. But anything other than that, no fucking clue. No,
it could have been the
fucking clue.
next day. It could
No
have
idea.
been.
Maeda has now been sold off into sex slavery, and she's now working in a saloon
Yeah.
under the guise of like a Western guy with a hat. He looks like he could be in fucking any Doc Holliday, any movie, any
Yeah.
TV Western you've ever seen. Billy, Butch Cassidy,
But-
anything like that.
And this
Any
is
of
where
those
we
guys. He
get
could be any of those movies.
and this is where we get our Deer Hunter ripoff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like,
So this is where Maeda's new owner, because he bought her apparently,
yeah.
as he tells us, what he likes to do in the only game he plays, he doesn't play cards, he doesn't play stud, doesn't play Texas Hold'em, doesn't play any of
No.
those things. No. You know what game we play in Texas, motherfucker? Russian roulette.
Yeah, the most Texan game.
The most
Russian
Texas game in the world. And so I don't want to take his side because he's a terrible human being. We can tell
Yeah.
that from what we know about him. But he seems to
Absolutely.
be playing an honest game of Russian roulette.
He is.
And then the gladiators sit down and they see the girl. And
Mhm.
I
this
guess,
like necklace thing, like a
yes,
dog tag thing.
they see the dog tags for Nisus, and so they're like, we know where you got we know who those came from. We're
Yeah.
here to avenge our friend. Oh yeah, and there's his wife chained up in the corner. We'll take her too. Is
Yeah.
basically the premise, and so they challenge him to a game of Russian roulette. And the gladiators, though, they don't even play fucking fair.
No.
The guy gets the gun and he shoots it up into the air. He doesn't even point it at himself. And then he passes the gun back to the cowboy and he's like, your turn. And the
Yeah.
cowboy gets pressured into just pointing it at his head.
Yeah, because
And
the other gladiator puts a gun in his neck.
yeah, the other
basically.
gladiator points a shotgun at him and says, like, play the game, do it the
I
way.
mean,
And so the fucking guy points the gun at himself and shoots himself in the head.
yeah, and then you
Shit.
get a really
I
great
didn't even
line.
realize we're also going to have to put a suicide trigger in this episode.
Oh.
Motherfucker, I forgot about that. That happens in this movie too.
Yeah,
Because I don't know, fucked up shit happens on this stupid movie.
yeah, it is intense with all of it. They just try to cram as much awful in one movie.
Pretty much. Like, just pretty much all the horrible things you can think of. Yeah, this movie came
Yeah.
out like, what, like 5, 6, 7 years after Deer Hunter?
Yeah,
So you take that scene from Deer Hunter, that scene that builds
Mhm.
and builds and builds in tension and has become one of the most memorable scenes from any
Yep.
movie in the 70s, right? Established the director's career, allowed him to
Yes.
fucking make Heaven's Gate, which ended his career. But story for a different day.
Yep.
And then you take that scene and you're like, how can we make it really stupid and pointless? This is how.
This is how they did it.
Yeah, it was really dumb. And so she is now
So they win?
gonna be theirs, but that
Yeah.
also doesn't happen because they immediately get arrested for this,
Yeah.
and they get sentenced to go work in a salt mine,
Yeah.
which also happens to be owned by the Black One and the Nazis
My God.
in the town from before, I think, or maybe a different town. I don't know.
It's so unclear.
Texas has a lot of salt mines, guys. If you've never been to
Oh, yeah.
Texas, let me tell you, we have a lot of salt mines all over the place, everywhere. All
Oh my
them
God.
salt mines. The salt mines are
Ye-
over by the Amarillo area, right over
Yeah.
there by it's right over there by Lubbock.
Yeah.
Right between
Oh, yeah,
Lubbock and
just-
Amarillo is where the salt
yeah.
mines are.
All those salt
Right
mines.
in that area right there. Right. The
Texas,
flatland area.
Texan pink salt, big time.
Mhm.
It's so famous.
Yeah, so this is when I wrote down, like, you think, okay, so we thought Nisus was the main character. No.
Mhm.
We thought the gladiators were heroes. No.
No.
Now I'm like, okay, maybe now Maida's going to become the main character and it's going to be about her, like, redeeming herself and getting out of the situation. Nope. Instead, we get to go see the gladiators work in the salt mines for a while.
There's some urine issues going
Yep.
on.
Yep. They
Good
get some
Lord.
salt torture, little casual salt torture.
Yeah.
And they just basically get sentenced to slavery in the salt mines. And this goes on for a little while. We get scenes of them mining.
Yeah.
It's scenes of not talking. There's very little
Oh, yeah,
talking.
no.
Like I said, just a
It's-
lot of people walking around, hitting
And
mines.
this is another one of those things where I was just
It's,
like, they transition into this new thing. I'm like, okay, I'm lost again. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what's happening.
You don't
anymore.
know how much time has passed, how long they've been
Yeah.
doing this. They're getting
Yeah.
water. There's an old man who can't drink. They have to help him.
Yeah, he didn't have a Spartacus moment where
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bearded stranger gives him a thing of water.
Yeah.
None of that.
All of this, yeah. And then the gladiators are able to get out of the salt
Yeah.
mines because they get saved by another gladiator.
And I believe is Maida with that one?
Yes, Maeda
Yeah,
does
because they're
come
like
in
in
with
this
the other
Jeep or
gladiator.
something.
Yeah, they show up in a Jeep and like a really stupid looking Mad Max ripoff Humvee.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a piece of shit. They show up, they help the two gladiators get out of the salt mines. And then we go to the Black One, and he's hanging out with Catch Dog, the rapist.
Yep.
And he
Oh,
tells
yeah.
Catch Dog, the rapist, to go and kill these three gladiators.
Yes.
So now we're like,
'cause
okay,
they're on
the
the same, you know,
gladiators are the good guys. Catch Dog is the bad guy. Finally, almost at the end of the movie, we know who the protagonist and the antagonist are. It takes like
finally got
50
there.
minutes after in an 85-minute long movie. The first 50 minutes, you don't know what the fuck is going on. Just things are happening.
That's basically it.
There's very little talking.
So now we know. Okay, so these are the gladiators. They all used to be a group together, but now one is rogue, one is
Yeah.
dead.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah. And just by
So-
the way, every 5 minutes, just imagine everything we've talked about. Just imagine every 5 minutes, there's like some kind of needless fight scene.
Oh yeah.
Just about every 5 minutes, something has to happen, right? That's kind of how the movie's rented. So another 5 minutes passes, and another shit has to happen. So basically, the end of the movie is set up. The gladiators, they have to fight against the black one in this city that he's taken over, where he's turned all these people into slaves. Problem is, they don't have enough people on their side. So how are they going to go? What do you do when you need help? You go to the forests of Texas, which everyone knows all about. And deep in the forests of Texas, there are the Native Americans.
Yes.
And when you need to get Native Americans to fight on your side, how do you recruit them? You verbally assault them over and over and over again. That's how they do it. Yeah, that's what the gladiators do. They basically just throw like almost every racist stereotype you can think of at the Native Americans. So now immediately I'm like, okay, well, I thought you guys were the good guys. This is where I got into like Luke Skywalker just dropping slurs, because it's like, okay, like I want to root for you guys, but god damn it, now you're racist. Like I'm just like, shit. Like is no one in this movie like a decent human being?
Yeah, really.
Turns out no one in this movie is a decent human being, except for maybe Maeda. Maeda and her kid might be the only two.
And I think I mean, except for just letting Catch Dog go,
he had just killed Catch Dog, which just makes no sense, because they killed the rapist right before. Then why not just kill Catch Dog?
Exactly. Like
you set the precedence, right? Yeah. Like there's a bedtime. You set the precedence that you kill fucking rapists. Cool, I'm with you. I'm down with that. Like, if we're going to have like a revenge fantasy where you're traveling the Texas wasteland, killing sexual assaultists, hey, not my cup of tea, but I can understand trying to write that kind of a movie in the 80s. I get it. It was the 80s. Yeah. It makes sense. That movie, this is not that movie. Not at all. That movie. not that movie. You're not that movie guy. So we get it set up where the Native Americans, they agree that they'll help the gladiators as long as they can fight one of them in a hand-to-hand combat. Because, like I said, every 5 minutes, there needs to be some kind of fight scene. Just something. Something has to happen. And it was just kind of
like a Billy Jack kind of thing or something like that? Like you got to partner up with
I don't know, dude. I think maybe they tried to throw some Billy Jack in there. God, every movie this movie rips off is way better.
Yeah, honestly. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so at the end of the movie, we finally get a little bit of plot development, because now we have the gladiators and the Native Americans versus Catch Dog and the rapists.
And the Native Americans, I guess, because they're using bow and arrows in 2020, then
against the bulletproof shields.
Against those bulletproof shields, they're not arrow proof? How does that work? Is it like velocity based? Under a certain speed, it just can't stop it?
Another realization I just had, I keep referring to him as Catch Dog and the Rapists, because there's a band of them with him, by the way. And that might be the worst street punk name I could ever think of for a band.
Wow.
That'd be a bad band name. Bad street punk name. Don't take that one.
Don't take that one.
Anyway, so this group of fuck-alls, they're going to go fight. And so where do they decide to do this fight at? In a quarry?
Yeah.
That's where you fight out in Texas, in a quarry. Texas is known for its good quarries. Lots of limestone deposits we have. We actually do have some limestone. I talk about that.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So, Catch Dog, I'm tired of talking about sexual assault. Let's call him Catch Dog and the Dumb Fucks. Catch Dog and the Dumb Fucks.
There we go.
They decide that they're going to try to cave in the gladiators. That's a stupid fucking idea.
Yeah, really?
Yeah. It's dumb. The plan was totally stupid, because they are Catch Dog and the Dumb Fucks.
Yep. Oh yeah. They should have had like some kind of like vaudeville cartoon music playing over them, like in like Bulk and Scully in Power Rangers. That should have been their music that played with them.
I don't know. But I don't know if you could save this movie.
No, I'm trying. I don't even know why I'm trying.
Then a siren goes off, because the gladiators are able to get out of this. And then a siren goes off, and now we're going back to the city. So we get another, but this time the time doesn't jump. It just goes forward a few seconds. Yeah. So all the other times when this has happened, the time jump forward a few days, we don't know, weeks, we don't know, years, certainly at one point.
Yeah.
Time in this movie is a figment of our imagination.
Really?
It does not exist. All these things are just happening at once. So Catchdog and the dumb fucks, they jump over and they head back down for the ultimate showdown. And yeah, the movie ends with kind of an anticlimactic shoot 'em up with everyone just kind of shooting everybody, running around, shooting people.
One thing, a couple of things I liked. One was where one of the dumb fuck ladies, she was one of the ladies on that group.
Oh yeah, there are lady sexual assaulters too in this movie.
Yeah. The one of them, I think she had taken this like music box watch thing from this guy.
Yes.
And like there's a scene like whenever the siren starts, one of the other villainous ladies tries to go in and grab it. And immediately like a spider sense for her stolen thing, she just appears in the doorway and is like, "Don't touch that." But then later on, she does touch it. She grabs it and runs off with it. And it's like, well, that was weird. But
yeah. All
there
that
is a
needed
redemption.
to be filmed.
There's one thing that felt kind of nice is that the grandma gets a revenge arc.
She does. She does indeed. Yeah. A few other revenge arcs happen. Maida does. She does get to kill the Catchdog. She's the one who puts the final bullet in Catchdog. So
yes,
in that way, it kind of echoes back to "I Spit on Your Grave," but just like in a really stupid way.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, everyone's getting shot up. You think that it's almost over, but then the black one, he's not dead. He's got himself a bulletproof shield, and he's gonna shoot everyone he can.
And there's no bows and arrows to be found.
No bows and arrows to be found. But what did they find to beat him?
Axe on the wall.
An axe on the wall. And the most stupidly contrived hatchet you could ever imagine. Yeah. Just on the wall, there's a break glass in case of emergency hatchet. One of the gladiators shoots the hatchet, the glass breaks, the hatchet falls right in front of the other gladiator. He grabs it, throws it, because as we know, hatchets beat bulletproof shields any day of the week. Yeah. And that's how the black one dies. He gets hit with a hatchet.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's how the villains get killed, and the town is saved, I guess. And the gladiators are off to wait until American gladiators started getting filmed, I guess. I don't know.
So, yeah.
That's where they're off to.
There's only, two left?
Yeah, two of them were left. One of them dies, and one of them gets killed because they have to, right? They just have to kill off one of the gladiators, right? Mm-hmm. You gotta kill off one of them. Otherwise,
they've already started, so keep that going.
Yeah. And I guess they're off to go fuck some shit up in San Angelo, I guess. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah, no
and that's how the movie ends.
Yeah.
It's set up for, I guess, a sequel. Thank God that never happened.
Oh, thank God.
If this movie is not a very good movie.
No, just
maybe one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Not even like a so bad it's good, just bad.
Oh, no.
And just kind of not fun to watch.
No.
It's not the most uncomfortable movie I've ever watched, which is unfortunate. No. There's some horrible horror movies out there that like to use sexual assault as a storytelling device quite a bit. Mm-hmm. This one is one of the more egregious with how many times it pops up and how it just doesn't need to be. If any movie doesn't need it, this movie doesn't fucking need it. Like I said, there's so many plot holes in this movie and things that go places and they just all end up in the same place, which is sexual assault. That's all we got. Yeah. That's all we know how to do. That's it. That's all we got. That's as much creative energy as we can do. Like, yeah.
I mean,
and looking at the reviews of it at the time, and also looking at the writer and director and what they've said about it in retrospect, they've all kind of agreed that like they didn't. This movie was like very low effort.
Yeah,
and it shows. It very much
really
shows.
Does. It was a tough watch. Like, and not even just because of the content, but just everything else about it was just like, I was confused. I didn't really like the look of it. It was, because like you said, like there's some interesting things cinematographical, like that part.
Yeah, speaking. Visually, it has some cool camera angles and stuff. But like I said, if you can see the same stuff in Demons and Demons 2, and you don't have to
Mhm.
watch nearly as much SA and all
Yeah,
these
exactly.
kind of horrific things. And
And be
Demons
so
has
confused.
Demons has a clear good guy, bad guy,
Yeah.
hero, villain.
Yeah.
These are things you don't have to wait until damn near the end of the movie to discover who the heroes are. In
Yeah.
this movie, I don't even know if there is a hero. Like Maida is maybe the only good character in the fucking
I
movie,
think so.
and unfortunately, she barely says anything.
She's not, and
And
she's only in the movie
she's only in
sometimes.
the movie to get sexually assaulted, which is
Yeah,
like
exactly. Oh God,
that's the only reason. That's all she does. She's
that's
there.
basically it.
She gets attacked, she gets saved. She gets attacked, she gets saved. She gets attacked, she gets saved. Then at the very
Mhm.
end, she saves the person. That's it, and she kills Catch
That's
Dog.
yeah. That's
So at the
basically it.
very end, she expresses some autonomy and is able to have some agency, but it matters so little because of everything that's kind of led up to that. Her
Yeah, really.
characterization is so piss
You,
poor. Like you
you know
barely even
what?
know her fucking name.
I was thinking
Only
about it
reason
at the
you know her
end.
name is because at the end credits they tell you her name.
That's
Otherwise,
the
I
only
don't
reason I
think
knew.
anyone mentions her name.
Yeah, no.
Like
I think they
literally,
even take away
nobody in the movie even says her name.
they sort of did take away the redeeming thing from her because she was trying to shoot at Catch Dog, but her she was reloading and she couldn't get the bullet in or the shell in there quick enough. And one of the other gladiators shoots him to stop him, and then
Yeah.
she kills him. So
Yeah,
even
yeah, yeah.
then, she's saved
She kills
again.
him at the end. Yeah, yeah. She saved him.
So
She's
they
saved
took
by a
that
man
from
at the
her.
very. Yeah, yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah, she's saved by a
Yeah.
man
So
at the end too. There. Yeah.
so even then, what would
Yeah.
have been a redeeming, not enough, but redeeming quality for the movie for the storytelling
Mm-hmm.
still wasn't there.
Has none. Yeah. No. No. I
So
think we've
they
probably put more effort into this movie than anyone else has. But
yeah, because we've been trying
this
to
is
correct it as we've gone along.
I've been trying to. I think you could probably like re-edit this movie and, like I said, take out all the SA scenes
Yeah.
and turn it into just kind of like a really poor Western that
Yeah, and maybe
doesn't have
even
any connection to Texas.
explain time passage. Like just put
That's
a
the
little thing
thing
up that
is
says
like you would
5
have
years
to
later or
five, but that's
something.
the thing is like you would have to do that like 4 different times, and it's like,
That's
okay,
true.
well, why are we jumping so much in time? Like, what is this
That's a good
movie?
point. Yeah,
You're like,
there's not
why is
enough.
there not? Like, why do we need to jump in time? We don't need to
There's
do any
actually
of that.
zero. There's no segue. There's
No,
nothing.
nothing
It's
at
just
all.
you're
It just
immediately in
jumps.
another
Yep, figure
no
it out.
explanation.
Figure it
Oh
out,
my god.
fucker. Figure it out. Figure it out. Yeah, yeah. He goes by the name of the Evil Edward, and this is definitely one of his Edwardisms here on full display as Texas Gladiators. Is not my cup of tea. It's got
No,
4.5 stars on the old IMDb. I would give
that's.
it maybe 1 star.
I was gonna say that's way too high.
Yeah, I give it
That
about
four
one
point.
star.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, I'd
think
say
some
one.
people are just Joe D'Amato freaks, and then there's also a lot of people, like I said, who probably haven't seen a whole lot of other Italian post-apoco
Yeah.
or Italian horror or Italian slasher or Italian sci-fi to see that this could be done a lot better by some different craftsmen. There was some good Italian
Oh
schlock
yeah.
makers back in the day who were making some quality stuff. This is not quality. This was pretty
No.
bad. Don't think you're missing anything. If you don't watch this movie,
No.
you can find it on YouTube for free. I will include a link to that
Hmm.
at the end of this episode. You can see that in the little description below, as I have done the last couple weeks on the other things. I'll also include a link to the Joe Bob Briggs review. So if you want to watch this movie, you can at least watch along with Joe Bob Briggs, so you can get
Yeah.
some enjoyment out of it, because
That
I think
always makes it better.
that's what ended up making me pull through, is once I figured out that there was a Joe Bob Briggs tag along for this. That's 20 minutes. I was like, okay, at least I can like I split the movie up. Like I watched it like it was going to commercial breaks, and I
Yes.
went to Joe Bob during the time to talk about, to like be like, okay, tell me something interesting about this fucking movie, because this is not fun to watch.
Not
So
really.
that kind of helped pull through. So I'll
And then
include the
also
links to both of those. Go ahead.
That takes me back. And I'd totally forgotten about Joe Bob Briggs and that whole
Oh,
thing.
he's
I
still
totally
going.
forgot about it.
He's still doing
Is he still
things.
going?
He's still going. Yeah, he's still going.
Oh, man.
He's
Okay.
on
Yeah.
one of the streaming services. I forget which one. Me and my wife watch
Well.
him every now and then. We actually were going to go see him here in Memphis. He came through a couple years ago,
Ooh.
and we had some friends that were going. But I think we got COVID around that same time, so
Ah.
ended up not being able to go. And then the last time he did his festival, it wasn't in Memphis. He went
Oh,
him
you cut out.
one day.
He wasn't in Memphis this time. He went and then.
Okay. Yeah, I'll cut back in there. Hold on. I'm waiting for the Ethernet to hopefully pop back up, but it looks like it's not right now. There it goes. All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. Yeah. So the last time he did not come to Memphis, he went to a different place. So
Mhm.
didn't get to go see him then. So yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's where we're
But yeah, I
going to
was
end
gonna say,
tonight's episode. Oh, go ahead.
if nothing else, something positive that came out of this is I'm gonna go and watch a lot of Joe Bob Briggs stuff. So.
There you go. Yeah. There's a whole YouTube series online that I'll link to. He's I don't know if he's still doing it. The video I'm looking at is from 10 years ago. This was uploaded, so don't know if the guy's still uploading videos, but it looks like he uploaded a while. He was uploading Joe Bob Briggs episodes from back in the 90s from TNT. So pretty
Awesome.
cool to see some old Monstervision online there, since
Yeah.
you can't really find it any other ways, especially with everything getting taken off all these streaming services. It's
You're
getting more
right.
advantageous to stick to
Mhm.
the physical media sometimes, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's just one man's opinion as I hoard for the
Mhm.
apocalypse. Speaking of the apocalypse, we're going to end our episode here, and
Yeah.
we'll catch you guys next time. Next week, me and my wife, we're going to show up and we're going to talk about Waterworld as we do our first ever watch along. Gonna try our hand at doing a little riff
Ooh.
tracks. The thing that started my whole interest in bad movies way back when was
Yep.
Mystery Science Theater 3000, and so I tried my
Mhm.
hand at my own little riff tracks with might as well do the first one with my wife, right? And might as well start
Yeah.
with a movie like Waterworld, because why not, right?
Why not?
This is basically your glimpse into what me and my wife do most evenings was we watch a bad movie and progressively talk about it or complain about how long it is and how we'd rather just turn it off, because that's the thing that we do a lot in that episode is start off talking about how much we enjoy it and then progressively go like, God damn, this movie's long. Why is this movie so fucking long? Kevin Costner, this is gratuitous. So, the next time you will hear from me and Travis will be 2 weeks from now, as you will hear our episode 20, where we talk about the best worst movies and what makes a good movie or what makes a bad movie good.
Mhm.
And the next time you'll hear from us live and in living person is the week of Christmas, and we will be talking about 2 movies that week. We're going to talk about Snowpiercer,
Mhm.
and we're going to do a little Christmas bonus. We're going to talk about another movie, a special movie. Should we go ahead and reveal it or make it a secret that we talk
I think
about?
we should. I say we wait to reveal.
Okay, we'll wait to reveal. We'll just say it's a movie that came out this year that deals with the end of the world. That's all we'll give you. It's a movie that came out in 2024, deals with the end of the
Yeah.
world, and we're going to talk about that on we'll have that episode drop on Christmas Day as a little bonus for all of you subscribers for coming along on this little journey with us
Yeah.
as we hit episode 20 and get ready to start the new year with a bang. We'll talk about what we're going to do in January whenever we get done
Mhm.
talking about Snowpiercer. We'll talk to you
Yeah.
guys in a couple weeks. See you.
Take it easy.
That if an infinite number of rednecks riding an infinite number of pickup trucks fire an infinite number of shotgun rounds at an infinite number of highway signs, they will eventually produce all the world's great literary works in Braille. Did you guys hear the one about the bartender who's washing glasses and this old Irish guy comes limping into the bar? And the Irishman hoists his bad leg up over the bar stool and he pulls himself up and he's in a lot of pain and he asks for a sip of Irish whiskey. And he looks down the bar and he says, is that Jesus down there? And the bartender nods, and so the Irishman tells him to give Jesus an Irish whiskey too. Well, the next guy to come into the bar is an old Italian guy with a hunchback. He shuffles up to the bar stool and he asks for a glass of Chianti. He also looks down the bar and he asks if that's Jesus sitting down there at the end of the bar. And the bartender nods, and the Italian says to give him a glass of Chianti also. Well, the third guy to arrive is a redneck. He swaggers in, he hollers, "Barkeep, set me up a cold one." And, "Hey, is that God's boy down there at the end of the bar?" And the barkeep nods, and so the redneck tells him to give Jesus a cold one too. So Jesus has his drinks, and he gets up to leave. He walks over to the Irishman, and he touches him, and he says, "For your kindness, you are healed." And the Irishman feels the strength come back to his leg, and he gets up and he dances a jig out the door. Well, Jesus then he walks over and he touches the Italian guy, and he says, "For your kindness, you are healed." And the Italian feels his back straighten up, and he raises his hands above his head, and he does a flip all the way out the door. And Jesus walks over towards the redneck, and the redneck says, "Don't touch me, I'm on disability."